the week thinking that we were going to be talking about the new president-elect in the United States, and of course have been pleasantly surprised by the vaccine news coming out of Pfizer. But looking ahead, I think 2021 was going to be a pivotal year. It was a question of how long would we end up in lockdowns. It was focused on the devastating spike in COVID cases that we're seeing really around the globe. And it was a question of whether, the fiscal need in the United States, the policy changes with a new president coming on board would be delayed and how long it would take, et cetera. So this changes everything. I think long term, the markets had been up, some challenging how high the markets had gone with COVID still looming, but the market had adopted a 2 or 3 year out perspective. The vaccine and this good news now and the ability to see it actually being rolled out into 2021, I think accelerates all of that and puts 2021 in a very different light and a more positive one.
And dare I say, could it be reflationary? I mean, 2020 has been epitomized by falling growth, disinflationary trends. Do you feel that this is beginning to turn and 2021 is the year where those types of reflationary trades will begin to make sense again?
I don't know that I'd go that far. To be honest with you, I feel like today's news, and again, we've had huge winners and huge losers. I think we'll have a very volatile week. But as we settle in, we'll look more into what a Biden presidency means in the United States, what that means for the US dollar, for emerging markets broadly defined, and all of those changes. And we'll go back to looking at the markets the way they're supposed to look, which would be slow, gradual growth around the globe. Increased regulations in the United States, but slower than maybe we had anticipated, depending on the Senate outcome. But again, I think a more normalized approach to the market, which will be slow growth. And I'm not sure it changes much in terms of the rotation out of growth to cyclicals, but it doesn't kill the growth trade either.
So the pandemic has highlighted many vulnerabilities in the world this year, whether it's the education gaps, the income inequality, overall well-being. And one thing that we've also come to learn is that financial market performance and economic growth haven't necessarily gone hand in hand with sustainability. Do you think that this is going to be a pivotal year in terms of how policymakers think about economic growth in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I think a number of things have come out of COVID in terms of sustainable and or responsible investing that we're going to see playing out throughout 2021. Not the least of which was the change in approach, which I think is just nobody's talking about it, but it amazes me when you had regulators and in some places government speaking to companies about whether they should pay dividends and whether they should prevent furloughing or firing employees. Again, for many, many, many years, if not ever, the shareholder reigned supreme and the outcomes there, the financial outcomes bottom line of a firm was paramount. And I think we saw a tremendous shift and continue to see among investors, as well as every other constituency, the importance of treating your employees well, the importance of or the role that companies can play in terms of an economy. And then you shift to what the regulators are doing and the demand for a green recovery. A lot of the fiscal response will be tied to green outcomes, and now even expected in the United States with Mr. Biden taking on the reins in January. So I think it will be a very, very big year in 2021. The other thing that's going to happen, and we were calling for it anyway, I will say, but to me, I call it the rise of the power of the investor. And that is the demand for investors to follow up, know how their shares are being voted. You see a lot of headlines around proxy voting and what role it plays. I think you'll continue to see that trend, and you'll see a lot of investors demanding transparency on how those votes are going and what that means for their investments.